which led to Time Warner making what was called at the time the Harry Potter movie magic
What's your favorite butterbeer? So there's
Yes.
three types of butterbeer. There's three
Yeah.
butterbeers that you can get. There's
Welcome back, witches, wizards, and muggles to Squibscorner. I am Jeremiah.
And I'm Andrew.
And today, go ahead and introduce our guest here, Andrew.
Well, today's episode is special because we're doing a little Squibler action. We're going on a side quest, a deep dive, and I thought I'd invite a special guest. We bear no resemblance. This is my younger brother, Ryan, who recently took a trip. What was it, 2 weeks ago?
Well, about 2 months ago now. Yeah.
3 weeks or so, whatever.
It's been that long? We've put it off for that long?
I mean, he's a busy man. He's a busy man. So, yeah, this is my younger brother, Ryan. And, Jeremiah, why don't you tell him what's the deep dive today?
Oh, the deep dive today is Universal Studios Harry Potter. I've gone there once. So I want to open this with...
Clarify. You've been to...
Universal Hollywood.
The Wizarding World of Harry Potter in Hollywood. Ryan and I have gone to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
I wish I could go. I plan to go to Florida to Wizarding World of Harry Potter over there in Orlando. When I moved down here to New Mexico, and bam, COVID. It literally shut everything down, and by the time it was open back up, we didn't have the money anymore. So, and then I was working, and I haven't been there. Haven't even taken my son to Disneyland yet. So,
we had annual passes to Universal Orlando when COVID hit, and they shut everything down, and then they opened it back up, and it was so annoying because, well, number one, a lot of the COVID rules and regulations that were made up were annoying, but on some of the rides, they would do one party. So if it was a single rider, they'd get in one row, then they'd skip a row, and then they would put one party. So if you had 2 or 3 people there that were just chilling, so you'd have entire roller coasters leave and have like 8 people on them.
That kind of dulls down the experience. I mean,
yeah, very frustrating. Very frustrating.
Yeah.
Still grateful that we got to go. Grateful that we got to experience.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah. So I went ahead and did a little bit of digging here. I was curious. So Universal Studios opened June 18th, 2010 in Orlando, and April 7th, 2016 in Hollywood, California.
The Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
Yes. I wasn't aware that, so I must have gone to the Universal one in Hollywood shortly after they opened. I didn't know 2016. I thought they'd been around a lot longer.
I've not been. My wife and I, we lived in Hollywood for a year back 2010, 2011. Moved out 2012. But
Good choice.
Yeah. Well, we had our daughter. And our daughter was like 2 weeks old. We were living in West Hollywood, and my wife was like, "I really don't feel like raising a daughter." And all of our family was on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So she's like, I don't want to raise a daughter here in Los Angeles, so we hightailed it out of there.
Well, I also wanted to know, what was their story like? How did Universal acquire the rights to Harry Potter? And it's kind of an interesting story. I don't know if you've looked this up, Andrew, if you know anything about it.
No, I just assumed that it was the relationship that they had with Warner Brothers.
So
to it all.
They started talks with Harry Potter Studios. Well, Harry Potter Studios talks started in the late 1990s to early 2000s. So that was 10 years before the parks even opened.
Sure.
But Time Warner had the rights to the Harry Potter franchise at that time, which led to Time Warner making what was called at the time the Harry Potter movie magic experience at Warner Brothers. That doesn't really have much of a ring to it, honestly.
Yeah. Say that 10 times real fast.
Yeah. This was a small walkthrough that had recreations of locations from the first 2 movies, but it only lasted 2 years. So talk about low expectations.
Was that in Orlando, or is that just over in the UK?
It just said it was at Warner Brothers Studio.
Well, because they filmed everything in the Warner Brothers studio over in England, so
yeah, it didn't say. It's probably safe to assume it was in the same location. Well, I'm sure we've all heard that the Harry Potter theme parks, it was kind of a replacement for the Adventure Parks Lost Continent area. Well, this happened in 2000.
The Lost Continent is still there.
Is it?
Yeah, Lost Continent is still there, and there's absolute.
Is that the Jurassic Park area, or is that different?
No, so there's two ways to go around to it if you're in Islands of Adventure. On one side, you've got the Lost Continent. That's where you got the Wishing Well.
Oh,
that's
okay.
Where you got. There's literally nothing there. There was not really a ride there, but it was what's the Greek guy that starts with a P? Poseidon. There's like a Poseidon's thing where it's almost like a show type thing that you walk through. Other than that, there's just kind of souvenir shops and a banging restaurant. I can't remember what the restaurant was called. But then when you go around the other way, it's Jurassic Park. No, there used to be a whole thing. There used to be a whole thing back there before Hogsmeade was in that area. I don't know what was back where Diagon Alley was.
Well, they wanted it to be rethemed, quote, to the stories and characters of one of the most popular children's franchises. And the name for this project doesn't... Project Strong Arm. I don't know why, but I guess...
Were they threatening them? Were they trying to blackmail them?
Sounds like it. But I guess it was in reference to the KUKA robot arm technology it would utilize.
Oh, okay.
So...
I'm just going to have to agree with you here.
Well, you would think they would just call it, the Harry Potter Project, and instead of giving it some weird name. But
no, because everything leaks.
Yeah.
Everything leaks. If somebody reads like, "Oh, they're doing some strong arm project," no telling what that is. But if you're like, "Yeah, we're doing a Harry Potter project,"
oh yeah. On May 31st, 2007, Universal, in partnership with Warner Brothers, officially announced the Harry Potter theme park. According to LA Times, when it opened up in 2016 in Hollywood, there was more than 8 million visitors, and they said that was a 13.9% increase in attendance compared with the previous year, which made it the largest percent increase in any of the top 25 theme parks in the world.
I believe it.
So I thought that information was nice, especially that part right there. It's a little bit of a opening to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, how it got started.
Yeah, I could see that because even when we lived in Orlando, we would get there early because we had annual passes. We could get in an hour early or half an hour early every now and then. And people would line up either at the Universal Studios side or the Islands of Adventure side, and once the gates open, they're walking straight back to whatever Harry Potter attraction there is.
Oh yeah,
like it's crazy. Like I'm surprised that they haven't taken Lost Continent because no one does anything at Lost Continent. It's literally just taking up space. That they don't close that down and just expand the Harry Potter attractions. Like I honestly,
Well, yeah, if you said it's still there, then maybe they didn't replace it, or maybe they wanted to make that bigger, or I don't really know.
No, one of the cool things that I'll get in, there was, and this is before my time as a Universal, but on the Hogsmeade side, which is at Islands of Adventure. So when we say Universal Studios Orlando, there's actually two parks that are side by side. One of them is Universal, and then the other is Islands of Adventure, but they're both Universal Studios. Yeah. So if you were going to get on to get tickets or passes, you can get a 1-park pass or you can get a 2-park pass, which if you want to ride the Hogwarts Express, you have to get the 2-park pass.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, I totally want to do that.
What's cool is when you ride, one of the cool things that I think about the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, because they knew how popular it was going to be, and they knew the older rides.
Did they though?
Yeah. Oh
I mean,
yeah.
I don't think anybody could have predicted the popularity it still has, which it's insane.
Oh yeah. So when you get on the in line for Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure, which is an amazing ride, on the walls there, because you go through, like, you get to see cracked dragon eggs, and you see like it's entertainment while you're in line. Because
So
when
is that a
first came
real
out,
ride, or is it
Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure? Yes,
okay?
it's absolutely fire. It's, in my opinion, the second best roller coaster at Universal.
Nice.
And when you go there, you get to one of the walls and you see these two. There's like a painting on the walls of these two dragons. Well, there used to be a roller coaster right there called Dueling Dragons, I believe. So they kind of put that, put that up there in memory. Which they shut stuff down all the time. Like, there used to be, over in Universal, there used to be a great kids area, Five-O Mousekewitz and Woody Woodpecker, and
well, now the
all
kids
this stuff.
area is the Wizarding World. It's for all ages, man. Come on.
Well, I mean, yes, the kids can enjoy that, but anyway, so we have Ryan on because at Universal they do this really cool thing that Ryan and his wife got to do for their anniversary recently, and as he was telling me about it, I was like, oh, you got to come on the podcast because it's freaking awesome and people will need to know about it. So, number one, tell us what the event is, how long you were there, and Jeremiah and I will have some questions. And then we'll kind of share some things that we love about his Hollywood, the Hollywood one and my memories. But yeah, so talk to us about what you went through.
Yeah, so a little bit beforehand. So a couple years ago for Thanksgiving, when Andrew and his family still lived down in Florida, we went down to visit them. And for Thanksgiving, that was our first time actually going to Universal. And we had a blast.
We opened it. Yeah. We opened it and closed it.
We had a really good time. Yeah. And so this past year, when I was talking to my wife, it was our 10-year anniversary, just deciding what we wanted to do. She wanted to go back to Universal. She's a really big Harry Potter fan. And so we thought this was a good opportunity. Well, one of my friends in the area, he told us about something called Informers Night, which has actually grown in the past couple of years. They actually do it multiple times throughout the year. Now, I think the next one is the end of February 28th, and March 1st is kind of the next one that's coming up. We're considering buying tickets to go again.
What's up?
A good time.
Is it open?
February 28th and March 1st.
Is it open right now? I assume it's closed at the moment.
Sometimes it opens. Sometimes it's open until 10.
Well, but the LA fires. Oh no, we're talking about Orlando.
We're in Orlando. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
For the snow, they might be closed.
There is snow in Florida right now. I know.
I heard it.
We actually got a little bit up here tonight, which is fun.
1 to 2 inches.
But yeah, so what they do is for 2 nights, they do the Informers Nights. So you buy your tickets through them, and it's not much more expensive than a regular ticket. I think it's $200 per person per day.
So I don't mean to cut you off. Informers, I'm not familiar with that.
Other than doing this Universal thing, I have no idea what they do.
Transformers was
taken.
Transformers was taken. So,
so I'm not sure what they do other than plan a really good Universal experience. So my wife and I, we went down and we stayed at one of the resorts. I think Universal has like a few that are close by. We stayed at Endless Summer, which was very reasonably priced. They have the free shuttle that took us whenever we wanted. And so one of our concerns was, so the way Informers works is you don't go to the park all day. Your ticket gets you in at 5 p.m. and then you get to stay the rest of the time. And they actually close the park early to everyone else. So on Friday night, I want to say they closed the park at 7:30 for everyone else. And then we.
How late were you guys?
I think Friday night was 12:30, and then Saturday they closed the park to everyone else at 8:30, and you stayed till 1:30.
Gee, I would have been like, oh, it's about 10. I need to go. It's 10.
So you got
o'clock.
5 hours. So you have
Yeah.
5 hours at
And
the park
so-
with significantly fewer
Yes.
guests.
And so one good thing about the
yeah.
resorts is they keep their shuttles running until 30 minutes after the last event. So no matter what time you leave, you have time to get to the
Nice.
shuttle. They'll take you back to the resort, which was great. I mean, we didn't have to worry about transportation or anything like that. So our first day there, they had just started. So our anniversary is November 22nd. So they had just started the Christmas and holiday event.
Oh,
So like the
man.
first day we were there,
So-
the big tree that's out near the Mummy Returns ride, or maybe it's just the Mummy ride, wasn't.
So you got to go and you just
indoor.
experienced
Yeah.
everything all at once.
So the
Everything.
first night we were there,
That's
we watched.
awesome.
They did the holiday parade. So we were like, this is great.
Wait, is it? Can you do both parks
Yeah.
per
It's
night,
both-
or do
it's
you have
both
to do
parks.
one?
Yeah. So like I said, it's $200, which is a little bit more than a regular ticket, but food and non-alcoholic
That's still
beverages,
pretty good.
which perfect for me, is all included.
Yeah.
And so
Bro, that's
not
a
all of the
no-brainer.
restaurants are open, but so we mainly went for Harry Potter World, right? Like that's why we were there.
Oh,
And so all the Leaky Cauldron was open. What is it? Three Broomsticks is after the Hogsmeade one started. Like at
Yeah, 3
this.
yeah.
But those were open. They had butterbeer stations open. The ice cream shop there in Diagon Alley's open, and yeah.
All right, all right, pop quiz. What's the ice cream shop called?
Great question. I don't know, but they have butterbeer ice cream, and it is very good.
Honeydukes.
There is
That's
a
the
candy,
candy
shop.
shop.
Ice cream.
I've only been once,
Isn't it Florian Fortescue? Yeah, you're gonna make me look it up.
I don't know, Andrew. What is the
Yeah,
name?
yes, I
Good
know.
question.
come on.
I know,
So,
that's-
so we, like I said, the first
yeah, Florian Fortescue's.
that was
All right,
not
Mr.
one of our
Know-it-all.
trivia questions this week.
That was a
That's
Steph Curry thing. Okay,
So,
okay.
like I said, the first couple hours you're there with everyone else, and so we enjoyed the parade, walking around. We saw they do the water show, with lights.
The light show on Hogwarts,
and
is
so
awesome.
we just really had a good time then. But then they have security go through, and they give you wristbands so that you can show them, and they know you can stay in the park. And so our first night, we were really nervous that we weren't going to be able to do everything because you're in the park for a condensed amount of time. So our thought was, oh man,
Yeah.
5 hours compared to, like I said, the last time we went, we were there for 12, 13 hours. I mean, we were there a long time.
Oh,
And
wow.
so,
But it was also near
so
it was
it was
Thanksgiving
regular day,
weekend, so it was
busy.
packed.
So we started off in Diagon Alley, and we ate at the Leaky Cauldron. There was no one else in the restaurant with us when we were eating. We have I think I sent it to Andrew. We have a picture where it's just us, right? We had to have to work.
It was just you guys.
Wow.
And again, because everything's included, they have like 5 different types of drinks. So it's like, oh yeah, I'll try all of them now, right? Like I'm not paying
Yeah.
$10.
Now, what's your favorite butterbeer? So there's
Yes.
3 types of butterbeer. There's 3
Yeah.
butterbeers that you can get. There's warm, which is great in
Yeah,
the winter.
we enjoyed it. Yeah.
Like when it was cooler, great. Then there's the regular soda, and then you've got the butterbeer slushy.
I don't know
the
what kind of
frozen
cream they
butterbeer.
put on top of that.
It's
Oh,
butterscotch
so good,
cream,
though.
bro.
So yeah, frozen is
It's
what I
amazing.
prefer.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the one I
Yeah.
like too.
Oh yeah, the frozen.
Yeah.
So I mean, but that was just such a good point of going to the Informers night because
Was
Oh, yeah,
butterbeer
yeah.
included?
we had multiple.
Oh,
nights.
bro.
Whoa.
Murdered
yeah.
some butterbeer.
By included, you didn't.
It's
have to pay
included
for
in
it?
the $200 ish.
That's what he said.
Oh.
All food and non-alcohol. So when you went to the Leaky Cauldron,
Didn't have
you
to pay for it. When we went to the 3 Broomsticks, I really liked the fries, so I just walked back up and got another serving. I mean,
Oh no, no! I'm gonna have to. Yeah. This is
Yeah,
gonna happen for me.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The banger. And so the banger at the Leaky Cauldron, the bangers and mash, or was it the three? Yeah, it was Leaky Cauldron. The bangers and mash and the fish and chips. I get those, and both the Three Broomsticks, I believe, and the Leaky Cauldron have a traditional breakfast.
Okay, so that was not an option when we were there, but that.
You probably have a breakfast menu, but yeah, yeah.
If I ever get to go to Orlando, I will hit you guys up, and we will make a plan of it.
Yeah.
Bro, yeah, we should.
Yeah,
I'll tell you this. So from living there, the best times to go are right after school starts. So you either want to be in a January time. Everybody took their vacations during Christmas, so January is great. And then right before summer vacation, so people go during spring break. And then if you can squeeze it in that kind of beginning of June-ish, and then September, October.
How do you pull that off with kids, though?
So my
my kids are homeschooled.
My wife and daughter
yeah.
just went to Disneyland a couple weeks ago, and we just took our girl out of school for a couple of days. But
even when I lived in California, I did not go to Universal and Disney when I could. It's like maybe 200 miles, 300 miles away. I should have, but
Yeah, that's tough.
yeah.
Okay, so if you had to rank, let's go over the Harry Potter rides in Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. So on Universal Studios side, you only have one. You've got Gringotts. That's the only Harry Potter ride you've got on the Universal side. Islands of Adventure, you've got Hogwarts Castle, you've got Hagrid's, and then you've got Flight of the Hippogriff,
which is more of a kiddie. Kid like.
I'll tell you what, though, that is a great kids roller coaster. It is a great.
There were a couple times where we'd ride it, and I was like, "Okay, I'm done." She's like, "I'm just going to stay on and ride it again." And because there were no lines, she would just go on the next one. Right. The only so and this is for the entire park. The only ride we had to wait for was Hagrid's. That was the only one, and it was about a 20-minute wait.
See, that's nothing. That's nothing. That's nothing.
To Andrew brought it up earlier, because they have people waiting for hours, they try and make it an experience to be in line, right? You have to keep them there. And so I think, Andrew, I sent you the video when we were walking into the Gringotts ride. I think I sent that to you.
Walking into Gringotts Bank is amazing. You've got the chandelier. You've got the goblins. It is like the amount of detail, and I think that's what people overlook. Like, it's cool, they've got all this stuff, but it is so detailed that it's like, oh, it's a 30-minute wait. Sweet, I've got 30 minutes of things that I want to look at.
Yeah, I would need to go back for a second time, or go to Orlando for the first time. Still the second time being at the park. When I went, like I said, I think it was pretty close to new, and they didn't have a lot. You know, Hollywood, their park's a lot smaller to begin with, and I was actually disappointed in the amount of, like, you know, tourist attraction type stuff that they had. Like, I walk into a store, I'm like, oh, cool. Oh, it's just stuff you could buy. So,
well, there's no lack of that in Orlando.
Yeah.
I was about to say, there's a lot of that.
Yeah. But Orlando, they have a lot more going on for the Wizarding World, and the Hollywood one just doesn't do it justice.
But even then, because it's definitely a good problem to have. But because there's no lines, you miss a lot of that detail in the action.
Sure.
Especially with Hogwarts Castle. I feel like that one, they really take the time to put on quite a few shows, and not shows, but things that you can sit there and watch for a couple minutes, and it'll help the time pass.
Yeah, like in one of the classrooms, inside Hogwarts, you literally have Harry, Ron, and Hermione come out. And
Dumbledore's office,
make it snow. Dumbledore's office is
and
amazing.
It's just you walk right by it at Informer's Night. But that's the thing. If you want to stop and watch it. Oh yeah, you guys go ahead. We're just gonna be here a couple minutes. It's I don't want to go to Universal not doing Informers Night. That's just how worth it is. It was to.
No, it sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
Now, I will say this before you go. I will say this. So, my favorite time for the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, because I've done it year round,
Lucky.
during Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
During Halloween, it's amazing because in the evenings, especially in Hogsmeade, they will put fog out. Like they've got fog and steam that goes out on the roads, and then they have green lights and Death
that's
Eaters
fun.
come out.
Yeah, that was one of my questions.
Bro, it's so awesome.
Were there still Death Eaters out
No
when
Death
you went,
Eaters.
or is
A
that
little
just
more
this
jolly.
Halloween?
It was Christmas time, so a bunch of lights, right?
Okay,
I mean, they do the Hogwarts Castle. They have like a Christmas holiday show that they'll project onto the castle.
Yeah, the show is so great, and the voices and the music for the lights on Hogwarts.
Yeah.
So
absolutely amazing.
I guess you kind of already answered it. What do you prefer? Like which was more exciting? I guess having a lot more people around you or less people around you with the experience?
Less. I mean, there's
less.
Because here's people flood the Hogwarts stuff. They flood there, so it gets packed at Hogsmeade.
And one thing you brought up that I didn't even think about till we were there was actually the shops. You know, when we went for Thanksgiving, you're just crowded. You're on top of each other. So it's really, you glance, and if you're not getting it, just kind of move on because there's 20 people behind you that want to see it. But here, I mean, you walk into Honeydukes, you walk into Weasley Wizard Wheezes, and you just sit there and look at stuff, right? Just the details that you don't normally get to see, at least at those stores, right? You can just take the time to appreciate them. No one's pushing you trying to get through. And it's really worth it.
Gosh.
And
hey, not in anybody's way. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Did you go to Nocturne Alley?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, Nocturne Alley is wild.
Fun, and we got
It's dark.
It's dark. And we got the interactive wand while we were there. Our daughter wanted a Hermione wand, so we're like, all right, well, 2 birds, 1 stone. We'll just get one that we can use, and that was fun. You know, just doing the different things. They have some stuff in Nocturne Alley.
Yeah, because every interactive wand comes with a map of both Diagon Alley and Hogsmeade where you can use them. And what's cool is, so the interactive wand, if it no longer becomes interactive, you can take it to Ollivander's and you'll say, hey, my wand isn't working anymore. They're like, just give me 1 second. We're going to take it back. One of our wizards is going to fix that for you. And they come back and they bring you
Cool.
essentially a brand new wand, but they bring you your wand back. And it's
I broke mine.
An interactive one or just a
interactive one? I broke it here doing like my YouTube videos and stuff.
Yeah.
Just dropped it one too many times and the head broke off.
Well, when we go to Orlando, bring it along. We're gonna get it fixed. Yeah, because they're super cool. One of my favorite things to do is, so one of the ways, so you can either go into Diagon Alley, you can walk to Diagon Alley, or you can walk to Hogsmeade, but you can also walk to King's Cross Station. And when you walk to King's Cross Station, that is technically a Harry Potter attraction. So, but the people that work at King's Cross Station are trained not to answer wizard questions. So I'm like, yo, is everybody around here muggles? And they're like, oh, well, what is that? What's a muggle? I'm like, oh, people that can't do magic. And they're like, oh, magic isn't real. And so I'm always trying to get people. And so far, there's only been one. Because I asked something dumb, something about, am I allowed to play with my wand with all of these people around? And she just started laughing. She goes, please keep your wand to yourself while there's so many people. But, like, they're all like, how do I get to Diagon Alley?
They are a little more lax on that when it's like 11:30 at night. But, yeah, they're still very much in character,
But even even King's Cross Station, the way that they have the line set up, they have this screen that fades when you're looking
Yeah.
at it one way. So as people are walking through the tunnel, when you're 20 feet back, it looks like they're walking through a brick wall.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just they went all out. They went all out for it. Okay, so you never answered. Rank the rides. Rank the
Four
four
Harry Potter rides. I would say it's Hagrid's, Gringotts, Hogwarts Castle, and then Ride of the Hippogriff.
Gringotts over Hogwarts. Gringotts is really
Yeah, I like Gringotts a lot.
good. Gringotts is really good. Best spot on Hagrid's, in my humble opinion, because on Hagrid's you're on Hagrid's motorbike, so you can either be on the motorcycle or you can be in the sidecar. And front row motorcycle is my absolute. It's my absolute favorite.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
wow.
on the motor car. I wasn't at the front, or like we were kind of in the middle, but it was fun. It was a lot quicker than I expected. There's some places there where it accelerates pretty fast.
Yeah, there's a part where you go on that big curve, and it just accelerates through it, and you're leaning. You're like at 45 degrees as it's doing it, man. It's
good.
It's wild.
I haven't got to experience that yet. Man, I really need to go.
Bro, we got to do an Informers Night. There's no question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have to.
I mean, that's a completely different experience. Because when we were going during the year, we would kind of say, okay, what do we want to ride today? Because one of the advantages of Universal over Disney is the proximity of rides. Universal, you don't have to walk very far to get to a ride, which is great. But because we were going with kids, we didn't really want to stand in 45-minute hour lines. So we would kind of pick, okay, what do we want to ride today? Let's choose these 3 rides. And then throughout the day, we would check the app, because on the app, it gives you the wait times. And kind of like what Ryan, the Informers Night, our best time was a Memorial Day, which would have been 2018 or 19, 2018 or 19, right before COVID. A hurricane had come through, and so a bunch of people canceled their stuff. Well, we woke up Memorial Day, and it was beautiful. So we went to the parks. No one was there.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we were getting on rides back and forth, and it's a completely different experience when you take away a few tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
People.
Ooh.
So did you get anything from Honeydukes?
So Harper likes those crystal candies. So we got some of those.
Naturally.
I think we got some beans, Bernie Bott's flavored beans. But yeah, not much. We really wanted to see what we could do just with our tickets, right? Like how much food. So we didn't spend a lot on extra stuff.
Oh, I'm sure candy.
Oh,
was
no.
included. Yeah. Candy was. I always get lemon drops when I go to Honeydukes, just as a
Yeah.
wands up. Got to get my lemon drop. The kids always want a chocolate frog, which are a lot bigger in Honeydukes than you think they would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get any Harry Potter merchandise while you were there?
So we got the wand. We got mainly, it was mainly stuff for our daughter. She loves pens. So we got her some of those pens she could use. She has them on her backpack and stuff like that. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I purchased anything. Karen might have gotten some stuff for herself. But yeah, we didn't buy a lot of merch this time. We were a little underwhelmed with their Christmas pattern that they had, like their holiday pattern. It just didn't feel as whimsical or as wizard-like as we were hoping. But there were some good stuff that we saw, but we just didn't pull the trigger on buying anything while we were there.
I think when I went, I wound up getting, I think the Firebolt. Either the Firebolt or the Nimbus 2000. Probably the Firebolt. And then we got Hedwig in a cage. It's like a almost like a porcelain head wig, something like that. And we got a blanket. I think we spent like $1,000 on merch. I mean, the broom alone is $300.
Yeah.
And I think the head wig was about 200.
And it's not as fast in real life.
Yeah.
That's completely up to you.
Yeah. Depends on how high you're willing to jump.
Well, okay. This isn't really Wizarding World related. I guess it kind of is. Which broomstick do you prefer? The Nimbus 2000, 2001, or the Firebolt?
I guess it'd be the Firebolt. I mean,
you go Firebolt. I mean,
you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are.
Yes.
Here we are. Yeah, I watched this clip the other day. I almost sent it to you, Jeremiah. There was, did you ever watch New Girl?
I might have. Sounds familiar.
So one of the black guys from New Girl, he's got a podcast. Is it Lamar? I think it's Lamar. Anyway, he's got a podcast, and he had Josh Gad on the show, who voiced Olaf in Frozen, and he's been in other things. That's just I know you have kids, but anyway, so he legitimately asked, okay, so you've got the Harry Potter books, and you've got the Harry Potter movies. Which one is more important? And Josh Gad he immediately goes, the books. Why is that even a question? Why would you ask something like that? You should have your podcast stripped away from you. Of course it's the books. Like, there are more things missing from the movies than are in the movies. Like, I can't believe. He goes, if you weren't there, and admittedly, I didn't pick up the series until 5 books were out. I think I've told the story. Ryan and my girlfriend, who's now my wife, were reading the Harry Potter books, and I made fun of them for reading them. And my wife, she's like, and this was, I think I was 14 or 15, because this was before we went to Utah to visit Grandma and Grandpa before the.
Yeah, I mean, I started reading them when I was young.
Well, I was reading Goblet of Fire on the plane. So what was that? 2002 was the Olympics. So I think
it was because we went to December right after 9/11.
Or was it 98?
Right after 9/11.
Yeah. It was
not a lot of people on the plane.
Yeah, not a lot of people. So anyway, so the only events, and this is what Josh Gad and the other guy on the podcast, they're like, when Deathly Hallows, the book, was released in stores, he goes, the Barnes and Nobles and the Barnes and Nobles in the malls, he was like, it's one of the biggest spectacles that you'll ever see. Lines. Yeah. I mean, these Barnes and Nobles were ordering thousands of copies of Deathly Hallows, just knowing. And the one guy, he said he has an entire Harry Potter set that's signed by J.K. Rowling. Because she would do her press tour at his mall, and he'd go and wait in line for hours.
Did either of you wait in line for any of the books?
didn't wait in line. I had friends that did. I remember them waiting in line, and they'd read it, and then they'd, 2 days later, they'd give it to me to read.
They're done with it.
Yeah, I mean, it was big, right? Those were books that I started reading when I was young, and then they just kind of kept coming out into my teenage years. So,
yeah, I wasn't into Harry Potter when they came out. So, if you had to ask me, do you have any regrets in life? I guess it would be not getting into Harry Potter when it first came out. I would love to go back and be part of those lines. That would just be awesome.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah, just the excitement. I remember when the movies were coming out. We had the last 3 movies. We watched. Where was it? Is this the Epicenter? Where is it? Where I used the bank?
You used to do that.
Was that
no longer there?
Yeah, and it's no longer there. The bank or the theater? Or probably both. I really don't know if that. I don't live there anymore. But going to the midnight showing and just have the amount of people show up that are just jazzed.
It would
ready
be
to see it.
a once in a lifetime experience. going through that.
I'll put everybody on the spot. Of the movies, because I will, and I've voiced this many times, I'm not a fan of the movies because I think it was a disservice to the books. What's your favorite part of the movies? If you had to choose one scene from the movies to be like, this was just incredibly well done.
Well, I've talked about it before. Goblet of Fire when they're in the graveyard. Best scene in the whole series, in my opinion.
Well done. Yeah.
Man, you put me on the spot. I don't know.
I sure did.
I really.
And we're gonna sit here,
you should see you should see my preview for our what is it, chapter 5? You yelled pop quiz and you asked me a question. It's one of those things where you know the answer, but someone asks you and you're like, oh, it's gone.
The only thing that comes to my mind, I really like the way that they portray the relationship between Sirius and Harry. A lot of their conversations. I mean, I really like those.
Yeah.
I'd say that.
Mine is by far Snape's memories.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
In Deathly Hallows, when he gets the memories and he goes, just the music and the way that it's done. I mean, I thought that cinematically was just absolutely fantastic.
Qualify my answer? So
you can.
Looking back kind of as a kid, I remember we went on a field trip to watch the first Harry Potter movie and watching it. And I still remember the excitement I felt when they walk into the Great Hall. Like that feeling of,
oh yeah,
because you see Hogwarts and you're excited, and then they walk into the Great Hall and everything's all festive. I was like, I still remember how I felt watching that.
See, that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, I think the thing that I remember most impactful when I was reading the books, was Dumbledore's death. I remember. And here's what's funny about it. I read that and I got through it, and then, because you're reading it and then you're immediately thrown into a mini battle, so you don't really digest it. You're like, oh my gosh, that is a punch to the throat. Oh, well, now they're running and now Harry can run, so he runs, right? So they do all that stuff. But in the book, which I hate that they didn't do the funeral in the movie, but when Harry is finally able to be like, I'll never look into those eyes again, I'll never hear him again, I'll never be able to ask, I had to put the book down and walk outside. I died a little that day, and then when Dobby died, I died a little more.
Yeah. I think Dumbledore, Dobby, and Hedwig are the biggest deaths in Harry Potter.
Yeah. And I'll say this, and I've said it before, the one thing that I can think of off the top of my head that I thought the movies did better than the books was Hedwig's death. Because in the book, she's in a cage in the sidecar. And in the movie, she's flying, and she sacrifices. She takes the killing curse that was aimed at Harry, and that was immediately so much better, such a better death than just yeah.
Okay, so since we're going this way, do you plan on watching the HBO series reboot?
Yeah.
What's okay?
Candidly, Lord of the Rings is my fantasy world of choice. I watched Rings of Power because it's Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings. But it's still, you put off some of the things from the lore, and it's fun. It takes you there, right? So HBO, I'll never have my 5th grade walking into the Great Hall moment, but I'm going to enjoy it. It's a great story. It'll be worth watching, just as long as they don't mess it up.
So see, Jeremiah and I have had this conversation about the Fantastic Beast movies.
They're great. They're great.
And that he's watched them, and I just have no, like, it's the same universe, right? It's the same, but it's not Harry Potter. Right? And so I tried watching the first one, and I just couldn't get into it. Like, it was just a completely different thing for me. But HBO, look, I'm really excited that J.K. Rowling is still very much a part of the project.
She has to.
And that instead of an hour and a half for book one, and arguably a low budget for that first movie. I mean, if you go back and watch the first movie, they didn't throw everything they could have after. They did a lot of great things. But I think HBO, and really we have to thank Game of Thrones for what HBO did with Game of Thrones, because that paved the way for Rings of Power. That, I think, paved the way for Harry Potter, even though I think it's too soon to do it. I can't wait to see what they do with 8 to 10 hours per book.
Because, I mean, the audiobook for the first one is around that time, right? I mean,
like it's not much.
So, Ryan, what are your concerns with the HBO series reboot? Because through all of my involvement with Harry, I say involvement with Harry Potter,
it's kind of a big deal.
I've seen nothing but people saying, I wish they would redo Harry Potter and make it true to the books. And then people, well, that would be like a 9-hour movie. And they all say, well, we would sit down and watch. But now that it's happening, everybody's complaining about it.
Yeah, well, there's always a risk when you redo something that was relatively well received, right? I mean, there are people that have issues with the movies. That's fair. But they still watch them. They still go back and look at them. They enjoy them. When you think of Harry Potter, you probably envision Daniel Radcliffe, right? You know, I mean, you have those, they're fixed in there. And so I think what's going to be difficult is just allowing the new characters to be the new characters, which will be hard, right? It'll be hard seeing new people like, oh, that's not Harry, that's not Hermione, that's not Ron. Give me back the other Dumbledores, right? I mean, there's big shoes to fill. And so I think that's what I'm most worried about. But if you can just get past that, and as long as they tell a good story, you know, HBO's got a lot of money, so if they make it, you know, hopefully they do well with everything and put a lot of thought into it, which I have no doubts they will. But for me, I think the hardest part is just going to be getting past it's different people, right?
I think to make that easier is Daniel. Well, specifically Daniel, I guess he has made it very clear he doesn't want to be part of it. He's passing the torch, you know.
I don't think any of the original cast should be part of it.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I don't want to
see... The fact that a lot of them don't want to makes it a little bit easier to open your mind to, okay, these are real people. We can't force them into this position, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's 3 mindsets that you can go into any project. The one is super optimistic, the other is super pessimistic, and then there's one with just no expectation whatsoever. And I think if you go into it with no expectation, I think you're gonna like it.
Yep, no expectations.
I think you're gonna like it. I really don't mind. You know, and we talked about it in one of the previous episodes. Right now, because we don't know of any of the castings. But you know, one of the rumored guys for Snape, the lead rumor guy, is a black guy, and everyone online is like, but he's the pale guy with the hook nose and the greasy skin. Like, if you're going to change somebody's race, change anybody else. You can't do Snape like that. But I think just in the time that we live in, we're going to expect for there to be a more diverse cast. We're going to expect for them to take. Now, one thing that I am excited about is that they are going to have their ages correct. Like, Alan Rickman was clearly not 31 when, you know, when the first movie came out.
But he was so good. He was so good.
He was so good.
No matter what age he was.
Well, and what's cool is she had him in mind, right? She had Hagrid in mind, you know, when the filming, when they're like, hey, we got to cast these people, she's like, I kind of already know for a couple of these. And he was fantastic. So
a part of that is knowing what we know about Alan Rickman and J.K. Rowling. It's
yes,
it just makes it so much better.
Yeah, and I think the one detriment to doing the TV show now is that everybody knows the story. So you're not going to have the emotional reactions to because you had a lot of people that didn't read the books, loved the movies. Yeah. So now we're going to be maybe if you only watch the movies they're doing long form, maybe you'll get surprised and emotional.
What is all this other stuff?
Peeves? Who is Peeves?
Did they just add this stuff in there?
They're adding characters? Yeah. So a death day party, like what in the but so I think that's the only detriment. Well, other than like you said, we think of Harry Potter, it's Daniel Radcliffe. So it's not going to be our Harry Potter characters. And we all know. So now I'm just watching to see, like,
how do they do this? What are their ideas?
Yeah, what are you doing with it? I can't wait to see what it looks like. I can't.
And we will let everybody know because we're going to be watching it.
2027. Look out for those episode reviews.
So, did you have anything else to say about your Harry Potter experience? Like maybe the worst part of it, the best part of it?
The worst part of it is I hit my leg the day before on a ride in Disney World, and so like it took me off that first night. No, I mean, it was all around just a really good experience. I can't recommend it enough. We're excited to do it again. We might do it again this year, just because it's it's that much fun, and it's reasonably inexpensive. It's not terribly expensive, especially considering that the food costs are, ticket. Yeah,
that's so awesome.
Well, when we go, we plan on going to Disneyland or Disney World or whatever it is over there for our son. But I also want to go to Universal, and I'm like, oh man, that's adding up real quick right there.
Yeah. So we plan on taking our daughter. So by the next time we go, she'll be 6. And I think just all the adrenaline will keep her up pretty late into the night. I'm not worried about that. She wants to do, so she loves How to Train Your Dragon. So Epic Universe.
We didn't even talk about that. There's going to be a new park at Epic Universe.
They're doing it's some of the Fantastic Beasts stuff as well. I think they're doing like a Paris portion or something like that.
Andrew's not going to want to go.
Yeah,
if it involves Fantastic
I'm not going to do Epic Universe at least until 2026, 2027, because that's the new kid on the block. Now there's an amazing golf course across the street from Epic Shingle Creek. It's an absolutely beautiful golf course, one of my favorites in Orlando. So. Oh, well, now what is the best ride at Universal Studios Orlando, and why?
It is the Velocicoaster. So when we went the first time, I didn't ride the Velocicoaster. I don't know if you did either, because we planned to do the single rider, but as we got to the gate, they like closed it down, and the normal wait time was like.
Well, and that's a terrible roller coaster for single rider, because it's 2-person rows.
Yeah.
So it's not like a 4-person row where you can squeeze one in.
Velocicoaster was amazing.
It's so wild.
It's so fast, and it just turns at the right moments to where you're either out of your seat or it's just pushing you into it, right? I mean, it was really fun. Velocicoaster.
One of the best parts about Islands of Adventure, there's this great bridge where everyone takes photos there because it's right next to Hogwarts. So people stand on this. It's kind of annoying at times, but they stand on the bridge, and you take your picture in front of Hogwarts, and then you walk and you get the arches. Yeah. You get the arch for Jurassic Park, and so you leave Harry Potter and that music, and then you get the Jurassic Park. Well, Ryan, thanks for being a guest on the podcast. We'll have to get you on again for a chapter review. down the
yes,
road.
you should.
Yeah,
Yes.
like
So
a
good
chapter out
times.
of the book,
But-
or
Yes, so right now, so the podcast, we just released our first few episodes a week or two ago. And every episode is either a side quest, which our side quest, we call them the Squibler. So this is a side quest. And then our other episodes are every episode is a chapter review. So we're still in year 1, Philosopher's Stone, and we're about to go to chapter 14.
Nice.
So yeah, we've just got 4 more chapters in book 1, and then we'll move on to book 2. So we got a long way to go.
Oh yeah, plus the reboot. Yeah, we got as long as we can take being part of this podcast.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me. Sorry it took so long.
No, it's
busy guy.
You're busy.
No. But
life.
you know how to reach me. Happy to join again.
I know where you live.
Oh, that was nice. Yeah, man, I'm so jealous.
And now it's got me jonesing to go back.
Yeah, well, I've only been once, so it's like foreign language to me right now, and the fact that I think I went around when they first opened. Oh, there's so much more to experience now, especially when I go to Orlando, because I'm going there next. I don't want to go back to the Hollywood one. I want to go to strictly Orlando. Well, I think we've talked about this all we can. So join us next time for our next Squibler, a chapter review, or whatever pops up on the platform.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, you guys can follow our YouTube, Squibscorner, Instagram, Squibscorner. And if you're listening on Spotify, go ahead and leave us a comment, a rate, or review. And you know what? If we're not on a platform that you listen to your podcast on, or you don't like this platform, let us know. Let us know what platform you use, and we'll get this podcast on there.
Okay, here's the quote that I'm going to do, and I feel lazy because it was the first one that pulled up, but it's me. So like right now, I love goals. So one of my side gigs, so I'm a chiropractor by trade, like that is my full-time jam, but I also do life coaching and just general coaching on the side, and I've got a few clients here and there, and I absolutely love doing it. So I'm a big goals guy, I'm a big action guy, I'm a big self-improvement guy, which hopefully as you watch these episodes, you'll see me get skinnier and more fit.
That's the goal every year.
That's the goal.
I lost 30 pounds only to gain about 15 of it back. So,
well, so far this year. So this is January 21st. 4 of my daily checklist. I have to run at least a mile, which I've done every day. I have to do at least 101 push-ups, 101 sit-ups, and 101 squats. And today, just because of the way my schedule, so it's been super cold here. So today I only had 21 patients. So I have time. So today, just because I wanted to push myself, I did 411 push-ups.
ooh,
Just in sets of 25. So it's not like I'm getting down and, in the next half hour I'm doing it. It's just like, okay, I did my 101. I was able to do it early this morning. And then I was like, oh, I've got time. Let me see if I can pump out a couple more push-ups. So it's 10 o'clock here right now. And because I did 411, I want to go home and get to 501. Like that's my thing. And I'm not doing that every day. But, so here's the quote, and I love this quote. It's from Dumbledore, who obviously had some of the greatest quotes. It is our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities.
Squibscorner is hosted by Jeremiah Lobo and co-host by Andrew Beecham. We would love to hear from you, so drop us a rate and review to inquire about being a guest and for questions, comments, or to just give us your Harry Potter story. Email us at squibscorner@gmail.com. To watch Harry Potter merch unboxings, follow my YouTube, Accio Potter Guy. Lastly, you can leave us a voice memo, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Squibscorner.